I'd like to welcome you to the City of Warman regular meeting of council on Monday, today, April 22nd. And I would like a motion to approve the agenda. Councillor Tooley? Would you like to read that?
Sure. First of all, I'm going to make the motion that there are not be any delegations this evening, and the council approves the agenda for the April 22nd, 2019 regular meeting of council.
Seconder for that? Councillor Shram, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, moving down to minutes. Have a motion, please.
I'd like to make that motion. I'd like to make the motion that at the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on April 8th, 2019, be taken as read and adopted.
A seconder for that? Councillor Peterson, is there any comments? Okay, all in favor? Okay, public hearings. Bylaw 2019-05, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw, amending the zoning bylaw to allow medical offices and clinics to be added to the discretionary use list for M1 to light industrial zoned properties. Including in the list of discretionary uses will allow some discretion over approval of these types of uses in the M1 districts. Motion.
The regular meeting of council is recessed to hold a public hearing for bylaw 2019-05, a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw.
Okay, a seconder for that. Councillor Beck, all in favor? Okay, is there anyone here to talk to the change in the zoning bylaw? No? Okay, well, we'll go back into our regular meeting then. No delegations, we'll move into administration reports. City Manager.
Thank you, Worship. I have one report. The purpose of this report is to review the existing business tax incentive bylaw, which was adopted by City Council in May of 2013. At the time the existing bylaw was passed, the city was trying to attract business to locate in our community. What we have found over the past few years is that the bylaw did work and did encourage development to a point where we have a good supply of new and existing facilities within the city. What we did not want to do or see is to provide an incentive to businesses that may create an overabundance of supply, creating a hardship for those existing businesses or facilities that are vacant today. As a result, City Administration feels that it's time to review the existing bylaw and provide an incentive that would be more business specific rather than a blanket exemption based on assessment increases. The determination of whether a business would qualify for an incentive would be based on the need in the community versus just as a result of increase in assessment. There would be more focus on being strategic with the tax incentive for business and creating, and criteria could be established to set out those needs. However, the policy would have to be flexible enough to accommodate the different types of industries and businesses that the city wishes to attract. So in order to proceed with an investigation of the new incentive policy, we would recommend that we amend the existing bylaw to better reflect the market value of today compared to 2013 when the bylaw was first implemented. And further, we would recommend that if the bylaw is amended, that a committee be established to review the tax incentive program over the next few months to determine the needs of the business community and the strategic goals and priorities of City Council. City Council wanted to be very clear in the communication that the tax incentive program must remain in existence to assist businesses. However, the change is to be more strategic in how we use property tax dollars to ensure we are providing the incentive where it is needed. So administration has proposed a new schedule for Council's consideration. The first table shows the existing bylaw. The second table is a revised schedule for new construction, and we've also provided a third table which is for major renovations to an existing business. Administration provided 4 options. Option 1, that the City Council amend the bylaw 2013-16 to reflect the changes in the market values, and further that a committee comprised of members of council and community stakeholders be established to review the tax incentive policies. Option 2, council accept this report for information only, and we continue on with the existing business tax incentive bylaw with no need in change of direction. Option 3, that City Council repeal the existing bylaw and not provide any further business tax incentives. And 4, Option 4, that City Council repeal the existing bylaw and only provide tax incentives on a case-by-case basis as determined by the Economic Development Committee established by Council. And Administration is recommending Option 1, which would be an amendment to the bylaw and establishing a committee comprised of members of Council and community stakeholders to review the tax incentive policy.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion for that? Councillor Jones?
I'll move that City Council gives first reading to Bylaw 2019-08, Bylaw to amend Bylaw 2013-16, the tax exemption bylaw. These amendments will regulate business tax incentives within the city to reflect the changes in market value that have occurred since the inception of Bylaw 2013-16 tax exemption bylaw.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Tooley? And we'll open the floor for any questions or comments. Here.
Yeah, certainly this year, I'd certainly like to make the comment that it's, certainly nice to, to see the breakdown between, let's say, new construction and also like the major renovations. I think that, that certainly brings like a lot of clarity to the document that we currently have. And I think that's going to be, pretty easy for, for anybody that would like to apply for that to, to fall under those rules and regulations. So, so I'd just like to say thank you very much for the clarity that's, that has been brought forward. So, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, all in favor? Motion for second reading?
I would like to make that motion. Yeah, so that's for bylaw 2019-08 to amend the 2013-16 tax exemption bylaw.
And seconder for that? Councillor Shram. Any comments? All in favor? Motion to have 3 readings at this meeting. Councillor Jones?
Move the Bylaw 2019-08 to amend the tax exemption bylaw to regulate business tax incentives within the city be read a 3rd time and passed.
Okay, seconder for that. Councillor Shram, is there further discussion? All in favor? Okay, 3rd and final reading. You don't have to do that? Okay.
Yeah, you'll need to.
Yeah, 3rd and final reading.
Yeah.
Okay, 3rd and final reading. Motion, please.
I'll do it.
Councillor Shram.
That the bylaw 2019-08, bylaw to amend the tax exemption bylaw 2013-06, bylaw to regulate business tax incentives within the city.
Okay, seconder, Councillor Beck. Any further discussion there? Okay, all in favor? Good, thank you. Okay, now, Councillor Shram.
I would like to make a motion that the council appoint a committee comprised of members of the council and community stakeholders to review the tax incentive policies over the next few months with a report to come back to City Council at the end of September.
Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Tooley, any further discussion with that? Councillor Tooley?
Just some clarification on, I know the motion doesn't necessarily address administration involved with that, and my question is who from, or I guess not necessarily who, but which positions from administration are going to be involved with sort of being part of that grouping?
That's certainly up to council when they establish it of who they want there from administration. They won't be part, they'll be part of the committee to provide, I guess, advice or background information. But it would be up to that committee to bring forward the policy.
Okay, and I think we probably can do that once we get together and see who's necessary to be at that meeting, or be at those meetings.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, all in favor? Okay, moving down to planning.
Thank you, Mayor Spence, members of council. A few items for discussion tonight. The first is the subdivision of the SaskTel site on Centennial Boulevard. Planning and Development has received a request to subdivide a portion of the SaskTel Tower site located along Centennial Boulevard for the purpose of constructing a commercial building. The local developer has been working with SaskTel to come to an agreement on subdividing and purchasing the front half of the property along Centennial Boulevard. The rear half will remain with the tower on. The goal with doing this is to utilize land that otherwise would just sit vacant, but also create some visual barrier to detract from the appearance of the current tower. The subdivision will require amendment to our official community plan. The land is currently identified as future growth, as well as a subdivision approval and rezoning. A copy of Bylaw 2019-07 to amend the official community plan land use designation map is attached as Appendix A. A copy of Bylaw 2019-06 to rezone the site to the City of Warman zoning bylaw from UH to C2 is attached as Appendix B. Both bylaws are currently advertising. A public hearing followed by second and third reading will be held on May 13th, as well as a motion for the approval of the subdivision.
Okay, so we have in front of us a recommendation for first reading. Councillor Shram?
I would like to move that the bylaw 2019-07, a bylaw to amend the official community plan, be read for the first time with the intent to hold a public hearing followed by a second and third reading at regular council meeting on May 13th, 2019.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Beck? And further discussion there? Yes, Karanjit?
Is it going from urban to commercial or?
Yeah, it's currently zoned urban holdings, which is a typical zone that we put on land that's kind of, I guess, in waiting for development. So once we rezone it to the commercial, it kind of falls under commercial regulations for minimum lot size and those types of factors, which kind of play into the subdivision approval.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Next item. Oh, sorry. Oh,
Still got a second recommendation.
Yes, go ahead.
The bylaw 2019-06, a bylaw to amend UH to C2 in the City of Warman zoning bylaw to be read for the first time with the intent to hold a public hearing followed by a second and third reading at the regular meeting of council on May 13th, 2019.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Sheryl? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Next item.
The next item for discussion tonight is a discretionary use and bylaw amendment to amend the zoning bylaw. Planning and Development has received a request to amend the zoning bylaw to allow a chiropractic clinic to operate at the property located at 903 6th Avenue South. The property is currently zoned M1 Light Industrial. Planning and Development is requesting that this use be added to the list of discretionary uses for M1 Light Industrial Zone properties. Including it in the list of discretionary uses will allow some discretion over approval of these types of uses. First reading was held at the previous council meeting and a public hearing has been held at this meeting. There's two recommendations for council's consideration tonight.
Okay, so then do we have a motion here?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. So my motion is that bylaw 2019-05 be read for the second time.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Peterson, further discussion? Okay, all in favor? To have third reading. Councillor Tooley?
I make the motion that bylaw 2019-05, a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw. This amendment will allow medical offices and clinics to be added to the discretionary use list for M1 light industrial zone properties. Be read a third time and passed, and that bylaw 2019-05 be now adopted, sealed and signed by the mayor and city clerk.
Okay, we have a seconder for that. Councillor Beck, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, we have in front of us discretionary use for medical offices. Yes? Councillor Shram?
To approve a discretionary use for the medical officers and clinics to operate a chiropractic clinic at 903 6th Avenue South.
A seconder for that? Councillor Jones, is there further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, next item.
Thank you. The next item is a discretionary use for group care home at 621 Crystal Springs Drive. The City of Warman has received a request to license a group care home at 621 Crystal Springs Drive. The owner wishes to house one family member and one assigned member at her home. Group care homes are defined in the Warman zoning bylaw as group care facilities, a supervised residential dwelling unit licensed or approved under provincial statute for the accommodation of persons excluding staff referred by hospitals, courts, government agencies, or recognized social services agencies or healthcare professionals. One letter was received, which has been attached for council's information. Planning and Development did receive a few phone calls in addition to that one letter. Most of them were for clarification on exactly what was going to be undertaken at the home. Once explained, no concerns or written submissions were submitted. So there's one recommendation for council's consideration tonight.
Please, Councillor Peterson.
I make a motion that for council to approve the discretionary use for a group care home at 621 Crystal Springs Drive.
Do we have a seconder for that?
I'll make the motion.
Councillor Beck. And open the floor for discussion. Is there any discussion there? Okay, all in favor?
Thank you. And the final item for discussion tonight is a discretionary use for a processing plant. Planning and Development has received a request for a processing plant to locate at 1210 Boucher Avenue in Warman South Industrial Area. City of Warman has been working with SARCAN Recycling to locate its first recycling plant in Warman. After looking at different commercial industrial areas in Warman, it was decided that this would be the best location based on access and zoning. As mentioned, we have not received formal plans yet. They're still working through the purchasing process. However, some pictures were submitted just to give council a general idea of the appearance that the building could take. Building will require to meet all zoning bylaw regulations, including size, egress, and access. Notice was put in the local paper and sent to property owners with living within 100 meters. No concerns or comments have been raised. So there's one recommendation for council's consideration tonight.
Do we have a motion for that? Councillor Jones?
I'll move the council approves the discretionary use for a processing plant at 1210 Boucher Avenue.
And do we have a seconder? Councillor Shram? Is there further discussion?
So just a question. So you said that the letters would have went out to homeowners?
Property owners,
Property
yes.
owners within that and whatever,
Yeah.
and nobody came back with any, okay. And that's for the currently owned properties? And then, like, what about the developer also?
Yes,
Okay.
developer receives a letter. Obviously, we don't send one for each property that's
Yeah.
within the 100 meters, but every property that the developer would own, they would receive one letter for all of those properties.
Okay.
And then any other properties owned by other people would also receive a letter within that 100-meter radius.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Thank you, that concludes my report.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, if I could have a motion to file administration reports. Councillor Sheryl, seconder. Councillor Tooley, all in favor? Okay, thank you, Brad.
Thanks.
Okay, under council committee reports. Okay, so we have my report in there. And we do have a couple resolutions. And I'm just trying to get to them, sorry. Okay, so we have a resolution for Rock Your Roots. Is there someone that is going to make that one? Councillor Tooley?
I'll make the motion that council approves a financial donation of $100 to support the Rock Your Roots walk being held Friday, June 21st, 2019 in Saskatoon, hosted by our partners, Saskatoon Reconciliation.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Beck, is there any questions? Councillor Beck?
Yeah, so with this, obviously, we're one of the partners for the Saskatoon Reconciliation Committee and whatnot. Are the other municipalities also making the same
That would be
same
up to
kind of
them.
contribution? So this is voluntary then?
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Good.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, the next one's a long one. Councillor Shram.
I would like to make the motion that council approves the request to allow Mayor Sheryl Spence to run in the election for a position of member of the FCM Board of Directors for 2019-2020, whereas the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, represents the interests of municipalities on policy and program matters that fall within federal jurisdiction, whereas FCM Board of Directors is comprised of elected municipal officials from all regions and sizes of communities to form a broad base of support and provide FCM with the prestige required to carry the municipal message to the federal government, and whereas FCM's annual conference and trade show will take place from May 30th to June 3rd, 2019, during which time the annual general meeting will be held and followed by the election of the FCM Board of Directors. Be it resolved that the Council of the City of Warman endorse Mayor Sheryl Spence to stand for election on the FCM Boards of Directors for the period stating in June 2019 and ending in June 2020. And be it further resolved that Council will share the cost associated with Mayor Sheryl Spence attending FCM Board of Director meetings with SUMA.
That's a long one, thank you. Okay, a seconder for that? Councillor Peterson, is there any discussion there? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, is there any questions of that report at all? Hearing none? Okay, thank you.
No questions, but, you know, like honestly, like if we could have Councillor Shram read that again for us.
A little faster this time.
A little faster.
Okay, we have student council representative report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Council members. Mayor Spence, sorry. In my report, I have brought some information of the school's upcoming events and previous events. For example, the Easter food drive that we had in Warman. Students from Warman High Middle School and the Leather Center collected food, and there was around 900 items collected in total. This is just a few of the pictures. There was a spy day at school on Thursday, where students would dress up as spy agents just for fun for the long week. And most of them are gone to France or special places where you can enjoy the heat. So that's where Mr. Philipchuk is right now, in France. We will be having a retreat on May 14th and 15th at Redberry Bylaw Camp, where we do every year. This is a great opportunity because we get to plan next year's events and hopefully get a pep rallies back. On Thursday, April 11th, we had our parent-teacher interviews. I was at the volunteer appreciation night, and thank you for that. The SRC provided dinner for the teachers between their meetings, and I heard it was a great turnout. The mentor team is preparing for the canoe trips at the end of May and early June. Track and field athletes will be starting practicing this week after the holidays. The golf team is going to start recruiting players soon, and I would like to congratulate the senior badminton team who went to play at districts, and our singles girls, senior girls, Paige Pomeranski, who went undefeated and won the district championship, and she will be regionals in Lloydminster on May 3rd. And the weather is getting warm, and we can see the kids walking on their bikes, which is nice. So that's all in the report.
Does anybody have any questions of Karanjit? Councillor Beck?
Yes. First off, congratulations for the, of the Warman High School, certainly collecting, the 900 items for, for the, certainly for the food bank. So my understanding is now that food is actually given to the Warman Food Bank. Like, do you guys help out in any of that distribution, or do you just pass it over to them and they look after it?
Pass it forward to them because it's discretionary use. So we go there and we hand it to one person. Is that we might tell somebody else. So there's the privacy issue. That's why there's just a few members that take the food.
I see. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Karanjit. Next item, Councillor Beck's Saskatchewan Waste Reduction Conference report.
Yes, I did prepare the, this report here based on the Saskatchewan Waste Reduction Forum that I did attend from the 10th to the 12th. And, this year, as you can see from the, from the list of the sessions there was definitely a lot of fruitful discussion on certainly recycling and I guess the local waste innovation programs, that were certainly out there. Certainly the, like the speakers that were brought in, were definitely knowledgeable about their sector. And, one of the really large themes that, that certainly resonated on me from the conference is that there's a number of factors that really make recycling in Saskatchewan a challenge. First things, the single stream waste collections for recycling. That there definitely creates some issues where the recycling technology doesn't get that down fine enough for a secondary market, to have plastics and things like that, are recycled. So definitely some challenges there on that front. And also this year, the geography of Saskatchewan, to, to capacity for, for collection is certainly, to like another very interesting business challenge. So there's certainly a lot of issues that do face the recycling and diversion theories here in Saskatchewan. So it will definitely be an ongoing discussion for sure. So, so yeah. So I guess based on that there, if there's any questions from the report there that I had provided, and also this year from any of the speakers listed, I can certainly get some audio from that there if there's anybody that would like to hear those sessions. So,
So any questions? Yes. I do have one in the audience. I guess the participants. Is it just councillors? Is there any staff members from municipalities that attend?
Yeah.
oh, yes, yeah. We had Sheryl attend.
Rochelle was there?
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
So
great.
she was there also.
Okay, good.
So yeah, I'm not sure if she was there for the 10th, but I believe that this year she was there for the 11th and the 12th. Like the 10th was basically like a pre-conference thing, which is, let's say, like on my first page right up there. We'll certainly about.
Okay, good. Anything else? Okay, if I can have a motion to follow our reports. Councillor Peterson?
I'd like to make a motion that the mayor's, councillors, and the student council's reports be accepted as presented for April 22nd, 2019.
Seconded for that? And Councillor Jones, all in favor? Okay, council round table, starting with Councillor Shram.
I just would like to report, I was at the RCMP Town Hall meeting, and there were some residents there that brought to our attention, at least for Councillor Beck and her worship and our manager, that there's a need for a crosswalk at Mize Crescent and Clubhouse. I got that right. Also a stop sign for a three-way stop at Clubhouse and Augusta. That should be a four-way. And then I did have some residents talk to me personally about their concern of vehicles driving through Linda Schaefer Park. And one was almost hit a pedestrian. So there was kids running through there, and there is no park, there is no playground stuff, but there is, I noticed there is tracks through there from before, and they were thinking that maybe there should be a barrier, that some kind of decorative barrier that would prevent people from going over the curb and going through that park with a vehicle. Both on either side of,
It's
what's that?
Foldo, I think.
Yeah,
Is it Foldo?
Foldo. There's two places where Linda Schaefer Park, and if you go straight down Augusta, you can get in there, and also from Mize Crescent, and you can drive right over the curb and into the park, and they see some need for a little bit of maybe obstruction, so that there's not that desire to go.
Well, I made note of this yesterday, so it's kind of timely that you should bring it forward, because I know I was driving through that alley, and I happened to notice that there was a lot of people that had back gates and trailers back there. So I guess this would be a question for Brad. There is an alleyway right through there, is there not?
Behind Hogan?
Yeah.
Yes, there
Yes.
is.
So that's probably where they're driving in, because that would be, in Linda Schaefer, that would be the only area they'd be able to get in, right?
Well, right here at Nicholas, both at Nicholas, right here, these two places, right in here, and there are old tracks going through here. So coming down Fourth, all of that is just open space for vehicles can come through. So I said I'd bring it up, and maybe the planning department can take a look at that.
Yeah, and apologies, I thought we were talking, I guess, a little further east, but I imagine that Bob will be bringing it in our managers meeting tomorrow for further discussion on some solutions to the issue.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a look, because there is that one alleyway that's over there, and I think that's a definite alley, right?
Yeah, there is an alley there.
But there's,
And just in terms of the Clubhouse Boulevard concern, the city manager and I did take a drive out there and take a look last week on Thursday, just to kind of get a feel for the area, and again, we'll be discussing more of that at tomorrow's managers meeting.
okay, good, thank
So
you.
where specifically are they from? Like here at 8th across? Or?
It's, let's see, there's neighborhood, there's tracks that way, going through
okay.
there.
Okay.
So anything else, Councillor Shram?
No, that's everything that I missed going to because I had a previous engagements to the North Transportation Committee annual meeting. It was on Thursday, but I couldn't attend, so.
Okay. Councillor Peterson?
I had the library board meeting last week, and so they got their first set of reports from the bookkeeper that they had hired, and so those minutes should be coming to the next meeting, and you'll see the first set of financials from that regard. I think it's an improvement. I think there's some little tweaks to do in that, but I think that's going to see a lot more consistent financials coming from the library board in that regard. It's really good to see that. On that, not a lot else since the last meeting.
Good. Councillor Tooley?
I guess since last meeting, Mayor Spence and I both traveled to Regina on the 10th for the SAMA AGM. So that was a nice opportunity for us to have a little bit of chat on the way to Regina and back. Following day, on the 11th, I attended the morning business networking breakfast in the morning, and then in the evening, I was at the volunteer appreciation supper for at least a little bit of the time frame until I had to duck out and pick up one of the kids. And outside of that, last week was a little bit quieter, just with the committee of the whole meeting, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to the RCMP town hall meeting last Wednesday. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jones?
Since our last meeting, I haven't had anything, but coming up, the annual spring AGM for the Legends of Golf course tomorrow night from 6 till 10. I think the doors open at 6:30 is when the agenda starts. And then on April 29th, so Tuesday, we have, I think it'll be the 90% design review of the second ice surface at the Legends.
Okay. Councillor Beck?
Yes, certainly for me, this actually has been a very busy time. So between last council meeting and now, I did attend the waste reduction forum for 3 days. I did also attend the Prairie Sky Chamber networking breakfast. Unfortunately, I wasn't there to stay for the whole time, but certainly yourself, Deputy Mayor Philip Chuck, Councillor Tooley, Bob Smith, and Aaron Lake were certainly there to represent the city. So I was able to duck out a little bit early. So yeah, this year it would have been nice to stay longer, but that just didn't work with the time frames. Last week we did have the WSCD hockey draft. So there again, that was a fully sold out event, and so that there does raise money for the second ice surface at the Legend Center. So it's certainly great to see the participation and the loyalty from our community and business stakeholders to keep that event going. Last week I did also host the Warman Physician Recruitment Retention Committee meeting. So look for some minutes to be coming forward at the next meeting of council. And I did also attend the RCMP town hall. So I certainly am very appreciative of the RCMP holding that, and also holding that here in our community. So it's certainly a great opportunity for our residents to come out and ask questions, and certainly see how the RCMP makeup and operations work here for our community. Coming up, I have the Sheryl event this Thursday. I believe you'll be attending that also and whatnot. So yeah, certainly looking forward to hearing what Brad Wall, Tim Getzel, and Scott Banda are certainly looking to bring. So I know I've heard each of them speak before, and yeah, so sure it'd just be really good to see the their take on the current Saskatchewan economy. I also have a Pimahawk Creek meeting coming up on the 26th, and the Wembexa Awards that there's coming up in the next 2 weeks, and we also have the open house for the city of Warman. So I know that the time frame for that is from 3 to 7, and I believe that's on May 8th. Yes. So certainly this year, make sure that we shoulder tap our neighbors and try and get them out to that event. On a final note, I would certainly like to recognize the Warman firefighting volunteers for their work over the weekend. Obviously, there was quite a few headlines over certainly over the fire that happened just west of here, and certainly great to see the regional fire partnership certainly working in unison, and the number of firefighters that certainly turned out for that. So great job for our firefighter department.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to correspondence. Do we have someone to motion our correspondence?
Is that me?
So
I did such a long one before. I move that the correspondence from Sheryl Gallant, a letter regarding Bill C-68, and the RCMP media releases from April 1 to 15, 2019, be accepted and filed for April 22nd, 2019.
Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Peterson, is there any discussion there?
Bill C-68, Mr. Smith, what does that have any applicableness to us and our situation?
I guess we won't know until such time as we have some issues with our water flows and or sewage treatment releases, things like that. I have passed this letter on to our engineers, our engineering firm, for review, but I haven't heard anything back yet.
Okay. I was just, because we've had flooding issues, water flows, I just didn't know if that hinders that, or is that?
From my understanding, it's changing the regulations for the way municipalities may be treated in the future, but the specifics of how it will affect our community, I'm not aware of any that it would, but certainly they'll have the knowledge, I guess, to determine what the harmful alteration or whatever the term is in the bill.
Councillor Beck?
Yeah, certainly when I had seen this, I did reach out to, to SUMA. So I did contact President Barnhart of SUMA to see whether or not there was anything that he was aware of in terms of, executive discussion, because I know that this particular bill hasn't come to our, to our SUMA board for discussion. And he's also our representative to FCM, and he said that he hasn't really seen or heard anything that would warrant certainly the discussion let's say on this. So this could be one that is maybe kind of slipped out let's say under the radar, or it could be just trying to raise the profile of it. So yeah, with sure I did reach out for additional information and just haven't gotten any clarity on it. So
Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Moving down to other reports, we have in front of us the Legends Golf Course Board minutes and the Legends Golf Course financials. Do we have motions for those? Councillor Tooley.
I'll make a motion that council accepts the report from the Warman Legends Golf Course as written.
A seconder? Councillor, who's, I saw hands go, and hands go down. Councillor Peterson, is there any discussion there? Councillor Beck?
Yes, I do have a question. So certainly on this here, like there was a cost of water discussion. And I was just wondering if there was any, for the clarity on that, or, you know, let's say any discussion or, you know, things that could be brought forward about the Sask water license that would be necessary.
I can speak to it. So with the help of City Manager Smith, we have done quite a bit of research to see what the options are there to get water. So in the development of that golf course, there was an agreement put in place with a local dairy farm to some of the infrastructure they had. City tied into that infrastructure, and the agreements come up. And I'd say we're at the beginning of the negotiations with, you know, with that group. But we do have options that we can investigate if those negotiations don't go, you know, I'd say if they aren't fair for both parties. So I would expect by the next meeting of the whole, we'd have something to report back on the status of those negotiations.
Awesome. Fair enough. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor? Okay, moving down to communications, we have our executive assistant and communication liaison. Hi,
Okay, so the open house is coming up in just a couple of weeks. So, like Councillor Beck said, word of mouth. Tell your neighbors, your friends, your coworkers. There's been advertising in the paper, the water bills, and on social media. So hopefully we get a good turnout. For your information, I put together some stats of recent social media activity. I don't know if you have any questions about that.
Any questions? Councillor Shram?
I do, just for maybe some of us who are not Facebook savvy, when you say it reaches a certain number, what does the reach number mean? What does the post clicks mean? What does the reaction number mean?
Reach is the number of people who have seen the post on Facebook. Post clicks, if there's a link, like see with the bylaws, I always put a link to the actual bylaw so you can read it entirely. So that just keeps track of how many people click on it. And the reactions, comments, and shares, that's like, loves, laughs on it.
And are those reactions to the first content, or to the post clicks, or to the
actual content?
Okay.
Anything else? Okay.
I suppose a comment. Yeah. You know, certainly this year, like, it is great to see, certainly, like what it is that we have put out there, and also, to certainly see the, say like the numbers, that are certainly able to see the posts, that do go out. So that's very interesting information kind of coming to this group here for the first time. So I just want to say thank you very much for the time and effort to, to go into that, and also like the thought and effort to go into the posts that, that go out. So.
Thank you, Richard. So under website, Erin?
Yes, there's some outdated information that I'll be either deleting or updating.
Okay.
That might take some time to go through each page, but
Mhm.
it has to be done.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so now going forward, does anybody have, I guess before we do that, we'll have a motion to file Aaron's report. Councillor Beck?
Yes, I would like to move that the communications report for April 22nd, 2019 be accepted as presented.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Shram? Any further questions about the report? Okay, all in favor? Okay, so now, just wanted to know if council has anything from our meeting or anything they'd like to see the next 2 weeks or next week that Aaron could work on for publication. Is there anything that comes to anyone's mind? Okay, not hearing anything, but we'll talk when we meet more about that. Okay, thank you. Okay, under accounts, motion for accounts. Councillor Peterson?
Make the motion that the council approves the city accounts presented by checks numbered 19,582 to 19,700 in the amount of $408,098.92, and the payroll vouchers numbered 8655 to 8718 in the amount of $86,595.79 for April 17th, 2019.
Okay, seconder for that. Councillor Jones, any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the April 22nd, 2019 regular meeting of council.
Okay, seconder. Councillor Tooley? All in favor?